into it because they would never understand.
What's going on, guys? PXCam20 back with a brand new video. We are here at Bathurst doing daily race C racing. As you can tell on our DR, we have lost our A+ rating, as that race that I just showed you guys was the race that resetted my account, and we are now down into the A rank. So we're gonna see if we could try to lift up our spirits here for this race, as we are gonna be starting off in third for this one, and starting right behind the Brazilian and the American up ahead in first. We're gonna see if we can shoot for a win, if not at least get a podium. So jumping into the race now, we're gonna get our 3, 2, 1 as we come out of the final corner. Just waiting for the countdown there, and away we go. So 9 laps around Mount Panorama, one of the more challenging tracks on the game, at least when it comes down to showing who's got some good car control, especially going up the mountain. It's going to be very interesting to see what we can do here, as we're already getting into some trouble here, heading up into turn number 2, as Bruno right up ahead of us accidentally makes contact with the wall and slowed himself down as we lead ourselves into the mountain for the first time. So just got to be very, very patient on this race, as this is one of those tracks where you really have to race against the track and not against the pack. And you don't want to accidentally push yourself too much, because you see those walls to the left and right. Yeah, those things come up on you very, very quickly, and one simple mistake like Bruno right there, this is actually a second mistake, can easily cost you a position, if not cost you the race, as you can get pushed back fairly quickly and lose a few positions, if not a lot of positions. And so we're gonna do everything we can to avoid making contact with those walls, making contact with the grass, and hopefully again we can come home with a great finish. So off of the final part on the track, I guess you could say that, as we're leading us into our final sector, we get a great run on Bruno and move to the right hand side as we try to make the overtake down the straight. Coming to the final chicane, we brake right before the 100-meter board, and we're able to complete the overtake now, as we are promoted back into second place and set our sights on Gerber right up ahead in first. So things looking pretty positive for us. Bruno did make a lot of mistakes into the mountain, and those mistakes costed him there, so we were able to just easily get the slipstream, get around him, and again we're now into second place. But going into turn number 1 and down this long straight leading us to the mountain, this is going to be a challenging part for us, because now Bruno has the upper hand on us and it's going to get the slipstream. So we're going to shift it to the inside, try to see if we can defend the position, but it might not work, because it's really difficult to defend going up into the mountain, especially on the second corners. Make just a tad bit of contact, as if you're on the outside going to the second corner, heading into the third corner, you're going to be on the inside. And you can see that's exactly what Bruno was able to achieve there, as we just follow right behind him and just decide to fight for another day and just stay right behind him as best as we can. But up the mountain here is now our turn to make some mistakes. As you can see, Bruno was able to get away from us, and now we are under pressure from Tiaguinho. I think that's how you say his name. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, but we're getting pressured by him now, as he is in the Mazda, and he is all over our rear bumper now, as we head into the final corner onto the front stretch that's going to lead us into lap number 4. So, or actually my bad, he's in the Hyundai. But as we head into turn number 1, we spot our braking point, and luckily the car that I'm using is the Corvette, which has been one of the more dominant cars on this race. You can get away with some other cars around this track and do pretty well, but from what I've seen after the BOP changes, the Corvette has been one of the more dominant cars on this racetrack, just because it has such great straight line speed. But in the mountain, it also doesn't do too bad with the handling. But the only downside of the Corvette is that the tires wear out really, really quickly. So this is a 9-lap race, but we are given the softs and the medium compound tires. But the medium compound tires are the compounds that are required that you have to use on this race. So my strategy here was just do a one stop. We're gonna use the softs on this first stint, maybe up until lap number 4 or 5, depending on where we're at on the track and where our pace is at compared to the other people. But then after that, we're gonna switch off and finish off on the mediums, and for me that has been the strategy that works out the best. I know I've seen some other people on this race do a 2-stopper, so they do a 1 stint on the softs and the 2nd stint on the softs, and then their final 1-lap stint on the mediums. But just for me, I feel like that has not worked out the best, but it is pretty challenging to try to accomplish this 1-stop. So into the final corner once again, you can see Bruno right ahead of us decides to come into the pits as he's going to switch off a set of softs and trade those out for another set of softs. And again, we're getting pressured all from behind from the Hyundai. We get a little bit loose going into turn number 1, and that's just going to invite Tiaguinho. Like I said, I'm so sorry if I can't pronounce your name correctly, but we're just going to say the Hyundai. But we are getting pressure from the Hyundai behind us as we head down the straight. But luckily, again, the power of the Corvette is just showing its muscles compared to the Atenza right behind us, and we are able to hold off the position for another turn up into the mountain. So you can see right here that our tires are really starting to get worn out, as the rears are the ones that are really suffering, and you need a lot of rear grip, especially on the down part of the mountain, because when you're going up the mountain, you can get onto the throttle pretty aggressively, and it doesn't really hurt too much as long as you're able to keep control of the car. But down the mountain, when you try to get back onto the throttle, you can easily upset the car. And you can see right here that we are struggling a lot with the pace, as the Hyundai is again all over our rear bumper, as we now start working our way into the downhill section of the mountain. So into the left and right part, you can see that we just clipped the curbing just a tad bit, and it upsets the car a lot, and we lost a lot of time there as we now head into the final corner of the mountain and lead us into this long straight. So we're now getting pressured all over from the Atenza right behind us, and he is getting an easy look onto the right hand side. So you can see right here on the minimap that he actually gets a little tap from behind, and it's this Brazilian comrade of Bruno to help him out. So both of them working together, 2 Brazilians ganging up on the American. Not fair. But as we head into the chicane, you can see things don't go according to plan, as Bruno accidentally takes out his Brazilian comrade, and you can see how close it was to almost taking us out. He gets back onto the track, and luckily everything worked out for him, and was able to recuperate himself and get back into the track. But you see how much time it cost him, as it actually costed Bruno a 1.5 or I believe a 2-second penalty, and that's going to hurt him in the long run, because again, he's doing the 2-stop on strategy on this race, and all this is going to do is just hurt him here, because he's going to be stuck right behind guys who are on either slower tires like me, which I'm on the mediums, but he's also going to be caught fighting in traffic, which is going to wear out his tires, and he's going to be racing against cars who have fresher tires. So things are going to get very, very interesting here, especially because Tiaguinho is right behind us and is trying to catch right back up to us, and I think he's on the mediums as well. So I think if we can stay right in front of him and not allow him to get past us, we should be fine, and we should be able to keep the 2nd place, because we know Bruno still has to come in for another pit stop. So we're gonna see what happens here though, as we head to the straight, or we're on the straight, but leading us into the final chicane. So onto the right kink right here, you can see that we're holding it off on the inside, as right behind us Bruno is able to make the overtake on the outside as they're going side by side on the mini map, and Bruno is able to get around him very, very easily as they flip-flop positions. We're going to defend the inside against Bruno, but on the final part of that little small straight, I decided to move it to the right hand side to kind of maximize our speed once we clipped the final corner, and was able to help us out for a tad bit. But once we head into turn number 1 and down this long straight into the mountain part, this is where we're going to suffer here, as Bruno's going to have a great head of steam, especially because of the grip and the slipstream working together. But you can see he's now side by side with us, as we're going to keep it onto the inside, and we're going to do as best as we can to brake as late as we can. But Bruno tries to brake later and actually hurts himself there, because he just goes a little too deep into there, and now we have to take a little chance right here as we just cut right in front of him, make a very, very risky move. But luckily he was able to drive safely and respectfully, and allow us to get the move ahead of him. So shout out to Bruno for allowing us to make that aggressive move. But that might have been the 2nd place move right there, because again, we're able to keep him right behind us. We know he's got better tires compound than us, and the longer we can keep hold him up here, the more he's going to wear out his tires. And not only that, the closer the gap is going to be if he decides to pass us on this lap. So as we head down into the mountain, we're coming to the final corner, just avoiding trying to make contact with the right hand side, but in doing so we accidentally just go in a little too deep, and we do make contact with the wall, slows us down, and Bruno is able to take full advantage of that, get around us on the left hand side, and now we're going to try to stay right behind him on the slipstream and just try to minimize the damage that we lost there, as we're going to keep it onto the right hand side into the right corner. We're on the outside into the final chicane, but he is able to outbrake us as we just cut right in front of Thiaguinho, and we're able to hold off our third place position for another lap here. So onto the final corner. Once again, we're staying right behind Bruno, and we're just going to see if we can utilize that slipstream to stay with him as best as we can, since once we head into the mountain, that's where his car is going to shine compared to us, because he's got the softer compound tires, and we're just going to have to do everything we can to minimize the gap on this lap. So he's shifting to the left into the right hand side, trying to break the toe, which is smart on him. I would have done the exact same thing, but you can see that's not really working out too much, as we were able to just close the gap once again going to turn number 2. And that 7/10 of a gap was easily cut down to 3/10 as we head into the mountain section for the 8th time here on this race. So you can see right here, this is where Bruno is now starting to shine here, as he's got a lot more grip under power and on the corners, as he was able to easily stretch out his gap from us by about 4/10, and is doing a lot more than that now as we're heading into the middle part of the mountain. So as we jump a little more forward into this lap, we are on the straight now, and you can see that that gap has turned from about 3/10 of a second to almost a full second, but he still has to come into the pits as we get a huge run from behind by the Brazilian, and he tried to make a little peek onto the inside. We covered our spot, but we're able to hold him off for another lap. So Bruno's going to come in right now, as he still has to put on his mandatory medium compounds, and this race for 3rd place has now turned into a race for 2nd place between us and Thiaguinho. And so now he's trying to make a move onto the inside, thinks twice about it, cuts right behind us, and now it's still a 2-car battle for 2nd place, as he's going to get a really great run down this straight. And not sure if he's been holding back throughout the entire race, because I know he's been behind us on some points of the race for the straights, but we're going to see if he's been holding back or if that is actually the pace of his car, as we're able to hold him off going into turn number 2. Corvette once again showing its muscles, and now we just have to navigate our way into the mountain for one final time, and if we can do so, we can finish this race off in 2nd place. So up the mountain, our tires are still feeling a little bit wobbly right now, as the tire wear is really starting to kick in on these mediums. And as we head into the middle part of the mountain, we're going to start heading into the downhill section as soon as we make a little bit of contact with the wall. And at this point, I'm just trying to make sure that I don't make too much mistakes, but if we do, we should be able to cover him easily, because it's just so narrow into this part of the mountain. But onto the downhill section, this is where I was really worried about. I didn't want to get on the power too early and spin the rears, and luckily it looks like we were able to navigate down this section pretty well, but we still have the threat of Thiaguinho right behind us, as we're gonna see if that Hyundai is a lot faster than what he's been showing us throughout the race, as he's gonna take a little peek onto the right hand side, and it's gonna be side by side as we head into the right hander. But you can see that once he gets out of that slipstream, it's just slowed him down tremendously. But he's got the outside line going into the final chicane, as we're going to defend the inside, park it on the apex, just make a little bit of contact there as I get a little bit loose off of the corner and get some wheel spin. But it looks like we're going to be able to hold off our seconds. We just have to navigate through the final corner for the final time, keeping on to the inside. We get a little bit wobbly on the exit once again, and the Honda's going to get a good run, but just going to run out of time. And we're able to finish this race in 2nd place, right ahead of Thiaguinho. Great finish. and a great race that I had between him and Bruno. So really fun racing that we had around Bathurst. Really good way to lift up my spirits, especially because we were able to come home with a great finish. And not only that, just have some fun, exciting, hard racing with Gino and Bruno. And that's all I'm asking for off this game. It's just to have some nice, clean, hard racing. And luckily this racetrack, if you get matched up with the right people, can offer that. Although it can be a little bit frustrating, especially if you're like in the middle or in the back of the pack and just trying to work your way up, just because of how narrow that mountain is and just getting caught up in other people's mistakes and wrecks. So let me know how you guys are doing around here. I know, like I said, I've been having a love-hate relationship with this week and this Daily Race C, just because one, we got reset, but two, you know, I've been having really fun races also here. So it's just like, I don't know what I should feel with this race, just because I've had the best of both worlds, or best and the worst of both worlds. So again, let me know what you guys are thinking of this race down in the comments down below. And since you guys have made it all the way to the end of the video, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as it really helps out the channel when you guys do so. And if you guys want to follow me on the Twitters, Instagram, or even our Discord, check out all those links in the description down below. And again, since you guys made it all the way to the end, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you guys did, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.